People who were on show like Super Nanny, World's Strictest Parents, or Scared Straight. What was the experience like? And what was the aftermath? I went to high school with a kid who was on Super Nanny when he was like 11. Apparently him and his sister's behavior weren't all that bad, and that one day a camera crew just showed up at his house. He also told me they were trying to force an emotional scene where he would hug his mom and say he loves her forever or something, and he was like, no, that's gay, and they were like, please, and he was like, no. They settled on love you mom. LOL chief. This reminds me of a Marine I know that tried to get on a cooking show. I can't remember which one, but he was talented and qualified to be on the show. They wanted him to cry about his divorce on camera, which he refused. They didn't select him. Good for him. Moes, allegedly, do not belong on reality TV. There was a program here in Spain that was like Super Nanny but for teenagers. One of them was a guy who lived with his grandma and had a very violent behavior. During the show you could see how the guy changed and started having a better relationship with his grandma. But I guess it was just an act because when the TV crew left he killed her. Edit. Adding a local newspaper article about it. Edit 2. Link to a comment with a translation of the news article. Well, that went downhill quickly. Oh, cooler story where it actually worked. Oh, you. Well, shit. Yep, always be prepared to be disappointed. I didn't go on, but some classmates went on Super Nanny or Nanny 911. Can't remember which. They lived rather close to my friend, so I went over to his place to watch the filming and such. The nanny stayed in their neighbor's house across the street, and the kids' behavior didn't improve for a very long after the nanny left. From what I remember, they were trouble all through school. I lost contact with all of them during middle school. Edit. Just remembered. The parents ended up divorcing not too long after the show. I wouldn't imagine a nanny swooping in and putting a band-aid on the problem would fix anything like you said. If children are misbehaving, it's on the parents to tweak their parenting style to fix the problem. That's what the show was about. The nanny was there to be the professional to teach the kid the consequences and teach the parents how to follow their rules. It's been an hour. I guess those people were not real. Give them time, Desi. Maybe their parents haven't gone to bed yet. We'll get here, we are just busy relapsing and walking on sunshine. Well, it's also quite likely that people on those shows have to sign pretty strict NDAs, particularly as many of them are scripted while being presented in a reality documentary format. I was on Scared Straight and my episode never even aired because they only select a very small amount of footage to make it look a lot worse than it actually is. Most prisons were pretty nice. In 8th grade our class took a field trip to the county's jail and courthouse. A few of the people locked up just flipped us off through the one-way glass and I think one mooned us. Apparently it never happened because the teacher was shocked, but we thought it was the epitome of comedy. It's not prison, just a jail, but most people there seemed pretty chill for the most part. I volunteered to visit inmates and do an informative class for them at our local jail when I was in college. They had one guard like 100 yards away from us around a corner. These guys I met and interacted with were all good people. They just made mistakes that led to a few months to a few years in jail. All non-violent offenders. They also knew if they tried anything, their sentences would go from a few months to multiple years. I knew a girl who was on Scared Straight. After the show she ended up addicted to heroin and going to rehab. Hope she got her life together. I guess she was scared left. Right? No, left. I lived in India. Once in my school when I was in 6th grade, these foreign kids pop up with a bunch of cameramen and stuff. Speculation went wild. We thought our terrible principal probably wanted to create a cool image for the school and was creating some kind of weird advertisement. Anyway, years later I saw a YouTube clip by complete chance of World's Strictest Parents. It was my school and those exact kids. They had come to and family, whose children went to my school. The episode was a lot of drama. The parents were kind of obnoxious, at least for the episode. However, the last I heard on asking a few friends was that those parents were fine and their children are doing reasonably well. Not sure about the foreign kids who came. What a small world. Seems like ages ago. Is the British episode with a girl with red hair? The boy and the girl smoke a lot. If so, that's one of my favorite episodes. You pretty much just described all of the episodes. I'm a little bit late to this one, but my younger siblings, mother, and then stepfather were on a program in the UK called Mums on Strike in the mid 2000s. The premise was that the mother would be sick of doing everything around the house and would be whisked away to a luxury spa for a weekend, leaving the clueless father in charge of trying to take care of the household duties. A lot of the conversations and scenarios were faked. I supposedly visited them for the weekend, but I did multiple different shoots across a few hours on the last day of filming, then went back home. They'd cause fights between the siblings by purposely creating situations where one was favored over the other, so the others would throw a tantrum. There was a shoot on location in our local town center, and they encouraged my little brother to run off into all sorts of different shops, causing hilarity as my stepfather tried chasing after him with 2 other children in tow. Too long didn't read. Contrived, exaggerated, sometimes faked, full of drama. Did they know beforehand what it would be like? Nobody in my family knew what we were getting ourselves into. It was definitely a completely different experience to what is shown on the TV though. Damn, that's rough. If I was the stepdad, I would be fuming. I had a friend on World's Strictest Parents. She was approached by a producer late one night at a McDonald's because she was 15, drunk, and wearing a stolen police hat. Apparently the producers hang around looking for kids there a lot. Anyway, she did her parent swap, was moderately wild, came back and decided she wanted to be a chef. I don't think she finished at culinary school. She had a baby at 19 and is a great mom to 2 kids now. How is the producer doing now? Great father of 2? Hol up, said the producer wearing the stolen police hat, which reminds them of the first time they met. Cue lovely music. My friend was on Super Nanny. They don't actually do anything, it's just acting. He and his brother are still exactly the same as they were before. I feel like South Park's edition of Super Nanny would be more accurate. He spit in my mouth. It's best not to get on his level. There is no trial too tough for Super Nanny. In just 3 days time, you're going to see a new Eric Cartman, Super Nanny Joe Frost, 3 days before she starts eating her own feces. It's from hell. I tease from here. I want the chicken nugget boy to answer so bad. King Curtis. She come in here acting like she's the queen, and we're just the sorry people. Is it bad that neither I or my husband had ever watched this particular episode and we still find ways to quote this child's amazing lines to each other? Because if it's wrong, I don't want to be right. One of my friends in grad school was on Nanny 911 as a kid, maybe around 5 years old. There were a lot of kids in her family, and one of the biggest problems the nanny had with their household was safety. She baby-proofed the entire house and lectured them on safety precautions they have to take in their lives to ensure that the children wouldn't get hurt. She even gave them all helmets to wear whenever they rode bikes or 4-wheelers. After she left, a lot of the safety precautions went out of the window, and later my friend told me that they still had the helmets but they were all sitting in a dusty corner. I remember that episode. I don't understand parents who don't make their kids wear helmets. You must have never visited the Netherlands. Agree. But in the Netherlands, infrastructure has been designed for biking. Also, the culture really helps. It's second nature to watch out for cyclists when driving. Edit. I think I have to clarify something. I don't mean that wearing a helmet is stupid or not wearing one has no risk. I am only saying that the Netherlands infrastructure has taken into account that there are a lot of cyclists. This reduces the risk of having an accident, not the severity. Like 3 years ago, I lived in a big 5-bedroom house with 4 other friends in college. The house was in an episode of Super Nanny. We found out because our nice neighbor literally gave us a signed headshot from Joe Frost as a gift out of the blue. He literally told us, "I think you all would like this more than me and get a kick out of it." It made our week and we found the episode online and watched it. I asked about the family to the neighbor as our house was rented out and owned by a property company. He told me after the show the parents fought all the time, lost all of their money due to 2008 crisis, and lost the house to foreclosure. The picture stayed on our mantle for 3 years and I thought about that family every time. It was all nice and wholesome and then it crashed and burned at the end. My childhood home had been in a famous episode of a famous old TV show. I'd dox myself if I said which. It was so odd watching it. It was filmed before we bought it and my parents remodeled it. So it was weird seeing how it looked when we first bought it, seeing all the old stuff, and also my neighborhood. The outside of my best friend's house was also featured heavily in the episode. My parents loved pointing out bits they personally remodeled. I remember pulling that out. Ugh. Remember that awful wallpaper? That sort of thing. The funniest part was that they pretended a closet door was a bathroom door in the show. My parents actually built a bathroom there before ever seeing the episode, so it was really head spinning to see that. When I was in high school, I went to one of those scared straight type local programs. Half of us were good kids who were just interested in seeing what the prison system was like. The other half were actual bad kids who needed a kick in the ass. We had to fill out forms where we listed some troubles of our lives. I was billed as the atheist girl with divorced parents. So all of the questions the inmates asked me were about parental love and how important religion is. Little did they know, I never felt my life was lacking due to the divorce. I got along great with my father and saw him regularly, and I was happily non-religious. The girls were told not to wear any revealing clothing. We were told the inmates would try to attack us. When we walked by the cells, all the inmates ignored the girls and focused on the one pretty boy/jock who had frosted tips and a puka shell necklace. He was uncomfortable. We sat in a circle, alternating students and inmates. The chubby guy on my left, Spanky, killed 2 people and had major daddy issues. He fell asleep and started snoring during the presentation. The guy to my right broke into a closed convenience store and tried to steal the register, but was so high he passed out on the floor. When he came to, he was sprawled on the floor, handcuffed, with his burglar tools scattered all around him, and cops laughing at his idiocy. That was a fun day, but it was useless. All they did is yell in a few kids' faces, tell them not to drink or get high, and hit us with the "you're young, you've got your whole life ahead of you" shtick.